Well, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, welcome to the Grand Hall for Equitana 2016. Our horses have been unloaded, as we did say a big thank you to our supplier of our horses. And to introduce us all this afternoon, we've got a lot to get through. We're going to introduce you to a few people. Firstly, our judges here today. Welcome to Kate Elliott from here in Australia. Kate, of course, a very well-known equestrian. All the way from the United States of America, big welcome to Anthony Alusha. And finally, a big warm welcome to Mr. Brett Parbury, our third judge of this competition, The Way of the Horse. Our compares for today, it's wonderful to welcome Sandy Simmons from Drysdale here in Victoria. Sandy, welcome to The Way of the Horse. You've been here since the start.
I certainly have, Tim. I've been here since the very beginning, so I'm very passionate about this whole competition, and I love being a part of it, and I can't wait for it to get started.
Well, it's great, Sandy. Of course, we'll be talking right throughout the day. Our man in the crowd here today, it is wonderful to welcome Dominic Montesini from Warragul here in Victoria. Dom, you're going to be out and about. You'll be taking questions from people right throughout the process today.
That's right, I will be. So I look forward to catching up with you guys in the stands and come up with some great questions and have some crowd participation.
So if you have a question right throughout the day, grab Dom's attention. He'll be more than happy to try and field it for you, and we'll try and get it answered. And finally, Phil Webb comes from just outside of Oberon in New South Wales. Mate, welcome to Victoria. Gee, they've turned the weather on for us.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Haven't seen this much sun since last Christmas. Yeah.
Great competition, The Way of the Horse. You excited?
Absolutely, mate. Can't wait to see this go again. I was involved the last time here in Melbourne. Been here with the cutting since the inception. Just great to work with these people. Yeah.
Well, great. Sandy, I'll get you to grab your microphone out there. Now, we have got this wonderful competition. This is my first time in the Grand Hall. I must admit, I haven't seen The Way of the Horse before, so I'm genuinely excited. Can you tell everyone in the stands what is going to happen here today?
Well, thank you, Tim. So the first thing that we're going to do today for you all is we're going to get the selection started. So before we go on with that, I'd like to explain to you all how that's going to happen. We're going to have a draw out of the hat from the competitors. They're going to draw first, second and third. As soon as we do that, then they get to draw out of the hat twice. You'll see we have 6 young horses here, absolutely outstanding young horses. Once they get their 2 numbers of the horses and names, they're going to get 2 minutes, and they can choose to go in and have a look, or they can look from the outside, and they're going to inform us of which horse that they're wanting to do the competition with them. I think we need to send them all a lot of good luck with that choice. And then once they've chosen that, Michael from Roseridge Stud, and I would like to first of all commend him on such beautiful and outstanding young horses he's brought here for us today. Michael and his team are going to draft off, and we're going to get set up with the 3 round pens, and we'll get the guys out, and we'll try and get it started for you as soon as possible. So if you all bear with us, we're going to let you all know who our competitors are and get them out, and we'll try and get this started.
Sounds wonderful. So Sandy, who have we got competing here today?
Well, we've got 3 outstanding trainers. I'd like you all to know that they went through an audition process to actually get into this competition. It is a popular competition throughout Australia. So we've got a long list of trainers that try to get in. So these guys have done it hard getting through this whole elimination process. But I would like you all, I'm going to introduce them all as my list stands here. I would like you all to put your hands together for our first contestant today. Let's all put our hands together for Mitchell Garland. Come on, a bigger round of applause. He's got a big 3 days ahead of him. Well done. Our next competitor into the arena, I want you all to put your hands together for Daniel Robinson. And last but not least, I'm sure he's well known to a lot of you out there, and we feel very blessed to have him in the competition as well. Everyone put your hands together and make it a big one for Damien Hall. So now we would like to begin with our hat draw so we can figure out who gets first, second and third on their choices.
So Beck Stoneman has come out. She is, of course, the face of our Equitana here this year. And gentlemen, we'll ask you to draw a number out of the hat for us. This is going to give them their order of selection. Oh, he's happy.
I think they are. There's a couple of smiling people. So, Mitch, which one are you?
Mitch has drawn out.
What's your number?
Number 1.
You are number 1. So just hold that thought. Okay, Damien's number 2. And Daniel, number 3. So now what we're going to do is we're going to let you all draw out of the hat. You're going to get to draw out twice. You're going to choose one, then pass it on so it comes back to you and you get 2. You're going to end up with 2 horses.
So in the hat now we have the horses' names. Is that correct, Sandy?
What we do have in the hat, that's correct, is we have a photo and description name of the horse that they get so they can look at it. And before they go in, they will know which horse is there, which 2 horses is there. And the first horse we've called, it was very appropriate, called Ralph Lauren. Next
so
one.
we'll now go to our number 2. Oh, yeah, we've ordered ourselves. Gee, you boys are good.
Our second horse drawn out is Lacey.
And Damien Hall has drawn out
Charlotte. Now we're going to go again. So guys, take a look at your paperwork so you see which horses you have. You have Cinnamon.
So, Sandy, each person's going to draw out a second horse and then they can decide between those 2 horses. So they don't just get a random pick of any horse. They can actually pick one of those 2 horses. Is that correct?
That is correct. They're going to get 2 minutes to either walk in or walk around. That's their call. And they're going to take a look at the 2 particular horses that they have. And then they're going to come back and let us know which horse they've chosen and why. So the next horse we have here is Sarsaparilla. And then we have Monroe.
So Mitch is going to be our first cab in there. Mitch, what are your thoughts? You got the golden pick. You get to go first, and you've got 2 horses. Firstly, can you identify them off those photos?
Yeah, that'll be right.
They'll be right. See how we go. All right, so Sandy, do we let Mitch...
This is correct. So, Mitch, you're going to go out. You can choose to go in the yard or you can walk around the yard, and we're going to have you on a timer. You'll get 2 minutes. And then when you've chosen your horse, you can choose it before 2 minutes is up. That's totally up to you. You're going to come out and let us know which horse that you have chosen and why.
So we have our Pride's Easy Feed volunteers. Of course, Pride sponsoring all of our volunteers right throughout the show, and they're on the clock over here. So we're pretty strict on the rules.
Oh, absolutely. These rules were set in place a long time ago when we first started this, and we not only have a timer, but we have a backup timer. We know that stuff can go wrong, so we ensure that everybody gets a fair turn and nobody gets robbed of time in anything, so we have a backup timer just to check on our first timer. So he'll get 2 minutes and then we'll have the next one straight in.
So Phil Webb. So Mitch has still got a minute to go. And what would you be looking for? What do you think he's thinking here?
Well, am I on the air? Yep.
You are. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Taking my time, looking for somebody who I think is going to be nice and smooth to get along with. Good attitude in the eye. Respectful to the other horses.
So Mitch Collin, you don't need the full 2 minutes. What are you thinking?
I'll take this little chestnut horse.
So that'll be you just like the name, don't you? Roseridge Ralph Lorena Chestnut Gelding out of Roseridge Lara by Roseridge Heat. And a full brother to Laurel. So, mate, congratulations. That's your horse.
Okay, we'll get the next one out if we can. So Damien is number 2 and his time will start right now.
So Damien now moves into the pen. So here's two horses that we had for him to choose from. He's got the sheets of paper. We'll tell you which one he chooses in under 2 minutes' time. With each competitor having two horses, Phil, is there a horse out here that you've caught your eye? Is there one that you really like?
I like this little chestnut right here.
I think that's the one that I think that Mitch has chosen.
That's my first choice. With a very, very quick look. I've been wrong a lot of times. You've been talking to my wife, haven't you?
I kept that off air. These boys are here for a good time, not a long time. You've made your decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll grab the little grey filly, Lacey.
The grey filly, Lacey. Well done there. It's like a good game's a quick game, hey? So two horses down. Phil, what do you think of the grey filly?
Yep. No, I like the grey filly.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because we'll now send our final trainer in.
So Daniel's gone in, and I'll just check with which two horses he had. He had Charlotte and Monroe. So we'll wait and see. He gets 2 minutes again. He'll come out and let us know which horse he's got. And then if you all bear with us after that, we're going to be drafting these horses off and getting these round pens set up as soon as we can figure this one out. Hey Phil, I'm not sure about you, but I do know that grey is a great colour.
You like that colour?
I do.
Yep.
I think grey is an outstanding colour, and I find it fascinating there's only one.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a chestnut freak for some reason. Always have been. Always have been.
Well, we got a saying at home, the last thing you want to own is a chestnut mare.
Hey, how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Our trainers have all come through in under a minute and a half, each of them. So they seem to be very definitive with their answers as we now go to Daniel. Which horse are we going?
Monmo. Monmo.
Monmo. All right, so he's chosen his horse. So we've now got our three chosen. And we wish our trainers the best of luck. So, Sandy, we're going to now draft those three out, and we're going to take the other three out of here.
That's for sure. And while we start that, I find it, this is wonderful. And I was so excited when I got told it was going to happen. But who was here last year? Oh, sorry, 2 years ago. Who was here? You all watched it? Did you love the competition? Well, guess what? This is outstanding. We have our winning combo back. Here's Bruce O'Dell and his winning horse from the last competition. Isn't it great to see these horses? G'day, Bruce. How you going? That's good. So, Bruce, I'd like to just, first of all, let us know, how did you go after the competition last time? Did it help with your horsemanship clinics and stuff that you've been doing?
Yeah, definitely did. Like, we had a lot more interest in my business itself anyhow. So, no, it was definitely good. And the competition, I reckon, is a great thing here. So, yeah.
That's fabulous. And have you had any interaction with your horse, the winning horse, obviously, since the competition last time, or have you only heard about what's been going on with her?
I've talked to Michael a little bit and only just heard. I've never seen her. This is the first time I've seen her, and definitely a lot better mannered since last time I was on her here. Yeah, no, but she's definitely grown, and she's pretty happy being back in here, I think so.
Yeah, it's a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it? And I'm sure what I do know after talking with Michael is they chose to keep this mare, and they've run her on, and the kids have been using her. And her name is Crispello. If any of you, what we're doing different this year, which we think is wonderful, is we've got a roving mic. And Dom, put your hand up. One of our commentators here. Dom's going to be walking around in the crowd. So if you see something that you're interested in, or you're a bit confused by, or an interesting fact that you're unaware of, please see Dom. Give him your question. He'll collate some questions, and we'll go across live to him and try and answer a few of those. So think about Bruce and Crispello. If you've got any questions you'd like asked about this combination here, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to try and feed back to you the last 2 years of this combination. I thank you for being here, Bruce. I'd like you to jump on her and have a run around and show us about what she's been doing for the last 2 years. And thank you to Michael from Roseridge Stud. He has done an outstanding job bringing these horses along, as well as the horses that were used from the last competition. And I'm sure you won't get bucked off this time, Bruce. What do you reckon? Bit more of a handle? So if you all would just like to be patient with us now for a minute, we're going to draft these horses. We're going to get our round pen set up.
Well, Sandy, the trainers have now selected the 3 horses. Just a quick recap. We get your microphone. No, hang on. Give me a moment. Press that one. Press that one. There we go. Get a quick recap of where we are thus far.
Thanks, Tim. So what we have now, we have our horses in the round pens. We have got Lacey, the grey horse. We have Monroe, the bay horse. And we have Ralph Lauren, which is the chestnut.
Very nice of them to select 3 different colours. So which trainer has selected which horse? Who's going to be working closest to us with the grey horse?
So first up in this round pen closest to us at the moment, that is Damien Hall with Lacey.
And then we move to the beautiful bay. Of course, all these horses were provided by our wonderful sponsor who did it in 2014 and again this year.
He certainly did, and he's done an outstanding job. We go up and check on the stud and have a look at the horses and work very closely with him to make sure he brings out the best of his best. And it was a very hard selection this time because he had a paddock full of beautiful horses. So in the middle round pen, we have the bay horse called Monroe with Daniel Robinson.
And then finally, he had the first selection down the far. Sorry, yeah, he had the first selection. He picked the pick that Phil wanted as well. Phil Webb liked this horse, the beautiful chestnut down the far end.
That's right. We have Mitch Golan down the end, and he's got a Ralph Lauren, which is the chestnut. So I think we'll just do a check and make sure we've got our timers on course.
Now, of course, we do have our 3 judges here today as well. A big welcome to our 3 judges, to Anthony, to Kate, and to Brett. They are going to be judging the competition, and they've got a pretty tough job here today and tomorrow and right through the Equitana process.
They certainly do. This is, I was having a chat earlier with Kate, and I judged this competition last year, and it's one of the most complex forms of judging. You've got to try and keep your eyes on all 3 at one stage and try and capture what's going on and create that memory in your mind, and as it goes on, take your notes, and of course they chat amongst themselves as to what they like. And it's not something, it's very organic, is possibly the best word. They can't really set it in stone as they walk out. Who looks like they might be slow on the first day, the second day they make up time, and who looks like they're fast goes slow. So it's a really complex job to judge this, hence why Equitana have chosen the 3 best that we could get here today to do the judging for us.
So this is day 1. Of course, we are here again tomorrow, right through, and then Saturday and a demonstration on Sunday, if my memory serves me correctly.
That's correct, and of course the guys all get 75 minutes. It is compulsory that they do take a 10-minute break. Now, I'd like you all to understand they don't have to take 10 minutes all in one. They can take 2 minutes, then 2 minutes, then 2 minutes. That's their call, as long as they're outside of that pen for a total of 10 minutes for this session today. Okay, so just before we get underway, I would like you all to put your hands together one by one. We're going to be bringing out our judges, and of course it's going to be ladies first. So I'd like you all, I'm sure she is well known throughout the whole horse industry. Her bio goes for miles. She's a female trainer out in the industry that I've admired for a very, very long time. Her results out in the industry have been outstanding. I'd like you all to put your hands together for Kate Elliott.
Just very quickly, Kate, welcome. I'll put you on the spot. Are you nervous as a judge today?
I'm really excited to judge the competitors today, and all I'm feeling is absolute utmost respect for them.
Well, we wish them the best of luck. Kate Elliott, one of our 3 judges.
Next one we have all the way over here from Texas. I was having a chat before with Anthony, and he's excited to do this. We'll let him have a chat, but I'd like you all to put your very warm Australian welcome over to Anthony Lucia.
From the deep west of Texas, my friend. welcome back to Australia. You seem to like coming to Australia. I've seen you a few times now.
I do. It's been a lot of fun, and to see the level of horsemanship that y'all have is just, it's absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm really excited to watch this event. I'm familiar with the Road of the Horse in the States, and to be able to watch your Australian horsemen do what they do, I'm extremely excited.
Well, Anthony, best of luck and enjoy the judging process. Ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome one more time, Anthony Lucia from Texas, United States.
And last but not least, of course, on our judging panel, he needs absolutely no introduction to the Australian audience at all. Everybody put your hands together for Brett Parbury.
Brett, they told me in my ear I've got 1 minute, so you can't take the microphone and go too long. Brett, welcome, mate. It's good to see you here at Equitana again. Are you enjoying your day so far?
Yeah, really enjoying the day. I always love being at Equitana. It's a great time for me to catch up with all my cowboy mates, and it's an honour to be involved with the Way of the Horse.
Different judging to potentially you put yourself these days in front of judges for dressage. It's going to be an interesting concept, but I know you work with young horses all the time, and I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, look, I grew up breaking in horses with my family. I grew up on a Stockhorse Stud and was starting horses all my life, which is why I ended up in rodeo. So it's great to come back to the old roots.
Well, Brett, we wish you the best of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank our third and final judge here today, Mr. Brett Parbury.
Okay, everybody, the clock starts now. Welcome to the Australian Way of the Horse competition. Now, as the guys get started, we will most certainly hand over to, of course, our sponsors. We just admire them and respect them and can't thank them enough. And I'm going to hand over to Tim so he can let us all know who we've got supporting us today.
Thank you very much, Sandy. It is a great pleasure as we watch our three trainers. A man who has done this countless times. Wonderful supporter. He gives back to the industry that he works so tirelessly with. Mr. Heath Harris, welcome down here from Hawkesbury River Saddle Company.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'm really excited to be here as a sponsor again this year. And good luck to all the competitors. I'm sure you'll all do a great job. And you guys out there, the audience, you take note of what these horsemen are doing. It'll be the cheapest clinic you'll ever come to.
So these three horsemen, they have been selected out of a huge panel. This year we were overwhelmed with nominations. Yourself, Heath, when you've worked with horses, what is it that you're... We are being upstaged here. This little grey horse is... Well, Sandy, I'm going to throw over to yourself and your team. We've had an interesting start already.
We most certainly have. And first of all, I'm going to tell you all is that at no stage, if any horse is ever compromised through either injury or through heat, these horses will not continue. They will be stopped and put away. I have had a quick chat over here, and I have went straight over and I called a vet. And I've asked a vet to come here and take a visual on this horse. And Damien knows if at any stage he thinks this health is compromised through the horse trying to jump out, that this horse will be quit and will be put away. Luckily, we're at the beginning of the competition, so if we do need to do a replacement, that's why we have 6 here, we will do that. At no stage, and you all need to understand that, at no stage will we compromise any health of any horse for any competition ever. That is not what Equitana stands for. This is a tricky competition to get done. It's a popular competition to get done, which is why we've stayed with it. And unfortunately, and it was through no fault of Damien's then, he wasn't even putting pressure on the horse. Horses are herd bound and they're babies and they want to go back to their herd, so it's unfortunately a bit of a natural instinct for them to try and climb out and get over. That's the first time we've ever seen it, and I've been at every competition that Equitana has ever had from the beginning. So all bear in mind, at no stage will any horse ever be compromised through their health. I don't know about the trainers. I think they might be disposable, but definitely not the horses. So, and that's why we've got Dominic up in the stands. He's going to head up there in a minute. If you do have questions, we have full transparency here through everything we do. We have vets on checking these horses every night, every morning. They're fed the prime food that we can give them. Thank you to Pride's Easy Feed. And they are checked on and they are hidden away from the crowd out the back. All of you aren't aware of what we do out the back. But we've got them hidden out the back so they're not bombarded by people or noise or traffic. So we do the very, very best that we can do. Hence why we use Roseridge Stud, because Michael puts so much, and his father Noel puts so much effort into having these horses coming in impeccable health, and they are groomed for this via feeding. And of course, we don't like them touched too much so that the guys get a fair chance. But these horses specifically called in to do this job and are bred for this job, hence why we use the Australian stock horse. They are so tenacious and resilient in their breed, and that we have never ever had anything go wrong throughout any of these competitions. So everyone please keep in mind, if something does go wrong, and we all pray that it doesn't, that we'll be the first ones to react. We'll certainly get the best of care of anything to horses and trainers throughout this whole competition. So I'm going to hand over down that end to old mate Phil down there and see what he's got going on.
Thanks, Sandy. Made a great start down here on this end. Little horse has been real happy with Mitchell getting any space. Came to it really, really quickly, and he's made a really nice start. I'm sure he'll be very happy. But I just think I'd like to thank Equitana for riding all his team, for the opportunity for us all to see this, no matter what part of the equestrian that we may favour or compete in. I think it's just a fantastic event to see these right from scratch, to go through till Sunday and to be riding and going through a bit of a course. So anyway, I hope you all get to hear each day and see the progression and see how well each one of these guys go through their process, as different as they may be, all heading towards a target on Sunday of going through a little course.
Okay, guys, I'd just like you all to know I'm standing here with our vet, and he's been watching the horse since he started, actually, which I was unaware of. Thank you. And we're going to continue. He's quite happy, so on and forward we go.
I think, Sandy, these two horses in these two pens down here have been very, very accepted to the guys being in their space very quick. And I think Damien up there, that little horse is showing some other qualities that just letting him know that he's not going to be a walk-up start, that grey mare.
You're not wrong there. You know what I said to you before, Phil, how I love the greys and you love the chestnuts? Can we switch?
I've been wrong before.
So have I, unfortunately.
And the same old story, a lot to do with whatever we do with horses, sometimes the slower you go, the quicker you get there.
Isn't that the truth? And I find it interesting for everyone watching how we two have got the halters on and one here in the middle with Daniel that doesn't. And you'll see he's using the advanced retreat. You know, when catching a horse first up, when they're starting them in this competition, we've seen so many varied and different types of ways of how they're catching their horses for this first time. And a lot of trainers don't choose to catch them either. You know, they'll set them out and do that advanced retreat, and there's a lot of different methods out there in, what we call a round pen, I suppose. Some like to get a handle on them as quickly as they can, yet others like to take that time and work a bit more on connection and relationship and partnership as well. And I think, I don't think either is right or wrong. I find them both interesting. And I, for one, as a horse trainer out there, I remain curious rather than judgmental. I like to look and see if I can find anything different that I can incorporate to help myself. So I find it interesting. We'll see as time goes on, which horse is going to come through and become more obliging and calm. At the moment, they all look like they're quite accepting.
Totally agree, Sandy. And, I like that comment on we sit here and hope we're going to learn something. I'm a little bit like Brett. Started out starting horses, and we used to call it breaking horses those days, not starting horses, and then advanced to the rodeo scene and went on and went then into training and thought after 5 or 10 years I knew it all. And I think nowadays my favourite saying is, the further I go, the less I know. And I think having an open mind and looking at what all these guys are doing, there's something to learn here, and I certainly enjoy that part of this competition.
Oh, that's for sure. And I've got Tim over here, and Tim's just come over and said, I don't know that we've said too much about our trainers so far. So We've got a little bit of a bio here. Who here's been reading their program while they've been here? Hands up if you've been reading your program. If you haven't, we won't print it.
Oh, I think they have. Let's not be too tough on them, Sandy. Look, certainly, Sandy, we're going to start down this end, down our far end of the arena from where our broadcast box is with the beautiful Chestnut and Mitch Gollan, who was born and raised on a cattle and sugar property in northern New South Wales, where he began riding horses at a very early age. It was the rodeo and bull riding industry, however, that consumed his early childhood into adolescence, where he qualified and finalised in the National Bull Riding Championships. Well known, of course, Mitch Gollan, and he is a very well-known horse breaker and trainer these days, and he's probably picked, although you didn't pick this one, did you, Sandy?
No.
Also, Phil, you picked this horse, did you?
It was luck.
He certainly, I think, in the what you'd say in the starters, probably picked one of the nicer horses out of the selection that he had, and it certainly was caught the eye of many of us. So he's in the far end of the arena. Mitch Gollan is our first trainer. Our second trainer here in under the big screen, we welcome out Daniel Robinson. And Daniel comes from a bit of an interesting background. Daniel Robinson lives at Orchard Hills in New South Wales with his partner Alexandra and operates a breaking and spelling farm in Sydney's west. He was born in Newmarket, England, and grew up in the heart of the racing industry. In fact, his father, Philip Robinson, was a champion jockey in Hong Kong for several years, and Daniel was eager to follow in his footsteps. One issue for Daniel, though, however, he grew a little bit too tall. So he came out to Australia and he was working track work for the likes of Chris Waller and some of Australia's leading racehorse trainers, and they used to put him on all the really good horses. They used to say, Daniel, take this one out and give it a run along. From there, he started and he had 4 horses to break in. Now he runs an operation with 45 to 50 horses. He's the youngest competitor out here today from Newmarket in England, now based in New South Wales. Daniel Robinson is under the big screen with this lovely bay horse. And finally, we've all had our attention on this beautiful grey horse. I think it was Sandy's pick early on. We welcome out Damien Hall. And Damien was raised in northwestern New South Wales. Very early in his life, he was exposed to horses, as they were used extensively in the stock work on the family property. Damien's childhood involved weekends spent attending horse and sports and camp drafts. He now enjoys the camp drafting industry and found a natural progression from the stock work at home to the competition ring. And he soon accumulated enough points to compete at both state and national levels as a juvenile. No longer a juvenile, but certainly a very well-respected horseman. We welcome out with this grey horse down our far end of the arena from where we enter, or from the big pie in the hall here today, Damien Hall.
Thanks, Tim. And where Phil and I are going to be cruising around now, we're going to take a look at what is going on. I'll, of course, go down to the old favourite grey down here. And what you see now, once the guys, actually the 2 guys that do have their halters on their horses, you'll see them starting to do some yield to pressure, which is basically a ask and release. Yielding to pressure, of course, is the first beginnings of how you start to connect from the horse's head into the body. And of course, their goal is to ride these horses. So the sooner they can start that communication from nose down into body parts, the better off they're going to be. And you'll also notice that both guys from either end are doing, what we call a sacking out or desensitising. So they're actually saying to the horses now, you need to cope with my hand, you need to cope with the rope. And you'll see they'll bring out, other stuff as they get more involved in it. But they're now forewarning the horses that they're going to have some saddles on. And they're going to help prepare them so that it's not too much of a shock. And you'll see down Phil's end, we've got a bit of jumping up and down. So it's more about the communication and explaining to the horse, this is what's coming next. So you need to really understand. If I pick up on that lead rope, I need it to connect down into a body part so I can control you, and of course that ensures a bit more of their safety.
Yeah, look, Mitch is getting right in the space of this horse, and he's accepting it, doing a really, really nice job. See him there trotting around with his arm up over the wither of the horse and starting to apply a little bit of pressure to the back, getting him ready for what's coming later. And Daniel here, he's taken a little longer to get his he's got the connection really good, and now he's about to try and put some sort of whether a halter or a rope around his neck. He's got the horse's attention. You could see there earlier, if people don't understand what that hunting was, get the horse's feet moving and then get him to stop, go. So in his mind, Daniel's saying, I'm starting to control this horse's mind. And you can see there every move, he's got that horse's head following his motion, and it won't be too long and he'll have that rope on this horse. Horse is accepting him being right up in his face and in the space. So looking forward to him coming along with that bay horse. Mitch down here is really making some progress.
Phil, he's already picked up both front feet. He's done, while you were talking about young Daniel, he's got both front feet up off the ground. He's now moving on to the back feet. He is, as we say though, ahead in leaps and bounds at this point in time.
Yeah, little horse is really beautiful in the mind, isn't he? He's letting he's doing his stuff to him. He's not rushing him though, and going along very nice and making lots of progress.
Well, I'm down this end and we have Damien out. It's up to him how long he wants to stay up for, but he has to, all of the contestants must use a 10-minute break. But while he's out and wiping the sweat off his brow, I'll have a bit of a question for him. How do you think you're going so far?
Well, it's been exciting. Look, she's starting to soften up there quite nice now. She's starting to listen to me a little bit more. She's not so herd-bound. She's still looking for her mates. But she's starting to come back to me a little bit more, I feel. So it's a good time to give her a bit of a break and myself to grab a drink, and she can gather her thoughts, and we'll go back in a moment or two and see how we go from there.
And so did you choose to come out just through a specific thing she was doing? Do you think it was timing or just because you need a drink?
No, just timing. Yeah, just timing. She was starting to soften, so I thought we'll just let her relax in that soft. And when we go back in, hopefully that soft will be even better.
Outstanding job. Outstanding. Everyone put your hands together for Damien.
Mitch's little horse just reminded him here, things are moving along really nice, and he's sort of jumped up on his, put a bit of weight across the wither and the back, and the little horse has gone, well, we're not quite ready for that yet. So he's gone back a step or two, but he's making really, really quick progress.
That's I love what you just said then, Phil, because quite often in horse training we think that we can step forward and add a bit more, and the horses are the ones that remind us if we haven't done a good enough job, or if they're not hearing what we're talking about, or if they're not ready for us to move on. So of course that's the qualities of a good horse trainer, is letting the horse tell them exactly what they're ready for and designing their program around what the horse is saying. So of course this is a tough competition with the time frame that we've got, and these guys are out here trying to do their best. And we always say, try and bring your best to the horse. So they've got to remove this pressure, these trainers, when they walk out here, and make sure that they stay plugged in and tuned into what the horse is saying. So I commend them for trying to even do that. I think it's a great quality of a horse trainer.
And Sandy, what an amazing, though, let's think about the horse and where he was yesterday. We're into this magnificent building, nothing they've ever seen. There's no trees here, no kangaroos. With a whole new setup, they've separated them, and the pressure on that horse, on the mind of that horse, anybody that's done a lot of starting of colts or may have only done one or two, but to take them out of their environment, bring them into a setup like this and ask all this pressure to be put on, it's just amazing. So it's, number one, it's a great quality to the people who own the horses, and unbelievable for them. I'll just catch Mitch when he gets a drink and have a little yarn to him.
I don't know if any of you were down here watching, but I certainly saw it ringside. Damien's come in here, and of course we know that these horses had a bit of confusion and stress about being herd-bound. And he walked up to her and just said, "Hey, I'm here," and she turned around and chose him above everything else. That is horse training.
Sandy, I've got Mitch here. He's having a little break, little water break. Mitch, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, no, he's a nice little horse. He's progressing along nice. I'm happy with him.
He really let you get in there quick, didn't he?
He did. He certainly did. Yeah.
I was surprised, really, handled everything that you threw at him and reminded you that, hang on, we might just wait for another 5 minutes before we're going to jump up there and ride around him bareback?
Yeah, and I took opportunities where I could take them, and hopefully it'll pay off.
No, great job, great job.
So I'm not sure if you're all aware, but we've sent Dominic up into the crowd now. So if you've got a question, Dominic, put your hand up. There he is over there. Everyone can see him over there. Please let him know if you have a question, and we'll try and get it all answered for you. We would like some definitely audience participation here, and so to make sure you get all your questions asked that you're wondering about or confused about, please go over to him and let him know, and he'll relay it down to us. Again, the other two have got their horses in the halter already, and we'll see here that Daniel is still working on that catch and release with his horse. You'll notice that he's sort of like his comfort zone with the horse. He's slowly getting closer and closer, and when he first started, he couldn't get within probably 4 or 5 feet, but now he's right up beside her and working on getting as close as he can without her leaving. So again, that's a timing thing. You've got to try and be ahead of the horse rather than put pressure on it. So as soon as he feels she's about to leave, you'll watch him. You'll see that he'll, that's it, retreat just like he's doing now. Then he'll go back on, and he's trying to be ahead of the horse. He doesn't want to go into the horse and have her leave. Of course, then he'll teach her never to be caught. He's just trying to get in there, get her comfortable, and have her accepting of him. And you'll see that he's he's not approaching straight on, but he's coming up on the near side shoulder. That's where we all innately try and approach a horse. Seems to be their most comfortable spot. So you'll see him slowly working this down. And there he's got a hand on her and just letting her know. What he does not want to do is go in and grab her and have it done. He's trying to get her to be a willing participant. It's a pleasure to watch.
Sandy, you made a couple of comments there earlier about the flexion, or starting the pressure and release. We can talk about lateral flexion with the halter. They're asking that horse to give its nose. Look, some of these things are the most important things in a horse's life that we're going to see right here. Started really softly and correctly. And as we all know, after we go through this starting session and later on we want to take those horses into whatever competition that we may want to go to, whether we be reiners or rein cow horse people or camp grafters or dressage people or cutting people. I'm fanatical about that body part you're talking about. And to me, right from day one, when we ask that horse to give its nose with the halter lead, I want a connection to the hock. All the major things that we do with cow events, and whether it be reining, is when I take that lead rein, I want a connection to the hock. Right down, nice and round through the back, right to the hock. So later on, when I put that snaffle on that and I pick that rein up, exactly the same thing. But this is where it starts, right here.
And Phil, I think you'll find with my background being show jumping, we want the exact same thing. So whether it's a dressage horse, which Brett obviously spends a lot of his time with, whether it's me wanting to ride my show jumper around on the weekend or just go trail riding, we're all looking for that same thing. So this starting ground is just so crucial.
So crucial, and can be made so difficult for the horse if not done correctly.
I totally agree, and of course, one of the very first things I look for in my horse training is to be able to control that engine. And, you know, Phil just spoke about connecting into the hock. Well, of course, you get a control of one body part, even one leg of the horse. You've got the rest of the horse going along for the ride. So I like to be able to control that engine so I can put the accelerator on or the brake off. So I really, it's important, very, very important, right from the get-go, is that they can learn to shift this back end of this horse around, because that's the beginning of their body control, how they can start and how they can stop. So, you know, it's common amongst horse trainers to talk about, you know, you've got the hip disengagement, the one rein stop, controlling the hock, controlling one leg. You know, it's all different varied ways of explaining it, but it's all about controlling that back end so that you've got control of the motor. That's the first thing that you want to try and do. And of course, the only way to talk to the back end is to get it via the nose. It all starts with that nose control. No nose, no horse.
Exactly, Sandy. I had an elderly gentleman tell me years ago, the guy worrying about the bits working on the wrong end of the horse. So,
too true, very true.
Hey, it looks like Daniel now may have a rope around his horse's neck. I've got a question for you, Phil or Sandy. Obviously, this is my first year of Way of the Horse, and don't forget, if any of you have a question, just see Dominic, the good-looking man in the white hat down here. He's on the opposite side of the arena to the judges. But my question for you both is, where I'm standing, there's a lot of noise coming out of the grandstands. There's a lot of people coming and going, which is perfect. You don't feel you have to, be here. You can come and you can go get a drink, come back, because it is a longer process. How distracting is that for you as the trainer, but also for the horse?
Well, I think I'll go first with that one, and thanks for asking. So, firstly, I'll speak about for myself. Anytime you're out horse training, it's certainly a learned skill. You've got to go out there and try and narrow everything down into your thoughts and feelings of the horse, and try and just get into that zone and pay attention. What I do know is, once we get into the round pen and get talking and chatting away with the horse, the rest of the world just sort of disappears. And you sort of stay in that zone. It's a little bit like meditation, I'd say. As far as all of this noise and, lights and loudspeakers and everything for the horse, I've watched this competition worldwide for the last probably 25 years. And what I have noticed with these horses, it's a little bit like a bombardment. So rather than listen to one thing, they hear a muffled everything. So as soon as the trainers go in there and connect, the horses get focused because they're looking for their form of communication. They're looking for the body language and body control, and that's what they know. The rest of the stuff to them, I think, just becomes irrelevant. I think they learn to ignore it. I think the only difference for a horse out here is that we don't have any breeze going through. It's quite a warm sort of environment, so you'll see that the horses might sweat a bit, but that's just a bit different to, being out in their own paddock. But I really think that the noise is something that just disappears. The same for the trainers. You get in there, you get in the zone, and everything just sort of melts away.
Totally agree, Sandy. I think, like any of us, we get into that zone, whether it be a competing at some competition. We're concentrating on so much that we want to do, and I think it's just been proven here with these three little horses. That little one up the end there's just taking a little bit longer, but the minute these trainers got the pressure and release and gave those horses a space and made them happy, they had their concentration almost straight away.
Yeah, and it's a bit like a form of communication. Over the years, I say this to a lot of people that I train with, over the years, our lines of communication have certainly sped up and changed, and let's all talk about our mobile phones that we've got. We're constantly stimulated and constantly doing stuff, and so our lines of communications have certainly changed, but what I do know for the horse is that it hasn't. So their lines of communication are, to buddy up and look for a good leader, which is what these guys are doing, and as soon as they find that line of communication, the horses just get focused and stay there with them. And of course, being young horses, they've got a bit of a clean slate. So once they start this line of communication, the horses just start to absorb. And of course, that's why we've put the competition over so many days, is that we can, do a little bit, let the horses go away, rest and process what's going on. And hopefully when they come back, they've got a little bit of software uploaded in their mind and their communication comes back to them quicker. So we found that doing a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit the next day, that the horses process it. And if you're back tomorrow, you'll see, how the guys have uploaded some software and the horses will click into what they're asking much quicker.
Developing a really good partnership, straight away. See Daniel here now, he took a little longer to get that halter on, but he had that horse's concentration right from the start. Even though he wasn't getting his hand on, giving him a rub down the forehead, that horse was zoned into him. You could see him, the minute he'd stop, his ears would go to him and he'd look for him. The head would come if he moved, making great progress. Again, Sandy, we were here 2 years ago and you were over there in the judges' chair. Now you're down here on the floor. At this stage, though, from thinking back, how were you viewing this and processing it yourself from the judging's point of view?
Well, thanks for asking. I'm in awe of these judges over here. As I said before, it's quite complex, and it's about the overall whole thing. And You know, we've, over the years, asked for them to write down comments so that they're clear in their mind of everything, and it's just too complex. So what I looked for by sitting over there in the judges' panel, first of all, I think what I missed was the education. I like to be out here and helping people understand what's going on, and I really missed that. And, of course, went home and told my boss at Equitana, and he was happy to put me back on the floor because this is where I love to be. It's the education of people. So the judging, it's complicated, it's complex, it's hard, and I think it's, you know, all I did was stay plugged in, watching everybody. I didn't focus on speed. That wasn't one thing I looked for. I looked for communication, a bit of partnership, body control, and watching how the horses were consuming what was told to them and which horses cope better. It's a complicated and high-pressure thing for the trainers to do, so I watched who stayed level-headed and calm and didn't change their program. I looked for any confusion, that sort of thing, and, you know, Bruce won it last year, 2 years ago, and you could just see the, you know, the horsemanship was just flying out of him. He did just such an outstanding job. So it's an absolute pleasure to judge it by all means, but I'm in awe of those three guys over there trying to figure this out, and I'm just really happy I'm not doing it.
Yeah, me too. How fantastic is it too to have Bruce back here and have that horse in the arena today that he did all that on. It was just a fantastic sight, and Bruce is just, I keep up with him quite a bit, and he's gone on and on. He's going to be a very, very big name in the horse game in Australia.
Oh, I totally agree. We've known Bruce for a very long time and had a great relationship with him and his wife, Jane. But, you know, that sort of comes back to our first question we've had from Dominic, who's up there. What was the question, Dom?
The question we had from the lady was for Roseridge, actually, and what did they do with the horses after this competition has been and gone, finished, and they go home?
And it's a great question because we get asked that a lot, and we're lucky enough here to have Michael, obviously the owner of the stud, with his father, and we'll just ask Michael what usually is the theme of the horses when they go home. Do they go on to be sold? Do they go on into competition? Do they stay with the family? But, you know, we'll let him give us some feedback. Everybody, I want you to put your hands together for Michael from Roseridge Stud. Come on, you can do better.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Our second year in Equitana, and thank you to the organisers for having us back. When you're involved in horses, it's an ongoing thing, and it was never really in my plan to do any of this. I think I come here about 8 or 10 years ago, and we watched, I think it was the year Chad Brady was involved, and I was very keen on the Steve Brady method and stuff like that, so I thought, well, you know, at some stage we might end up having a look at something, and then someone give us their number and away you go. So for a second year, things are good for us. We're a bit more knowledgeable about what Equitana need. Obviously, I come here with my family's support, with Vicky and Noel and Marilyn, the founders of Roseridge Stockhorse Stud, and of course my kids that support us, and Harley, and it was really nice to have Bruce along to give us a hand today. And when we get onto the question of the horses, you know, Roseridge Crispello, the brown mare, since Bruce broke her in, I think I sort of hand-passed it to Michaela, my daughter, to ride a fair bit. They all did a bit of time on her. We sort of, when we get our horses going, we like to take them as easy as we can and let them enjoy being a young horse. If you over-ask the questions, sometimes you make them into something you don't want them to be. So Michaela did a bit of time. Since then, I've taken her on a little bit myself. So Roseridge Crispello is now, look, she won a stock horse class at Sale the other day, and she's going pretty nice. Look, she's a lively mare. She's not for everybody, but we do like her. And the other horse, Roseridge Balloon, he's now in the Country Kids show, which you'll see just after 4 o'clock. And that's the horse I actually rode today. He's a bit of a snoozer, but a nice horse. So that's about all. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I think he deserves it. Michael and his family are really passionate in the horse industry, and I've had luckily enough to be able to go down to their stud and meet the family, and we did the auditions down there. So they've got a wonderful stud down there with such a varied amount of horses, and they've even got a Am I right, but it's a cow? It's a pet bull. Okay, so my first visit down there, the kids come out in a pet bull. And I think the pet bull might be here at 4 o'clock. So come out and see the pet bull being ridden around, because that was certainly a highlight for me, something I don't see every day. So...
Sandy, I have another question for down there. I've got a gentleman a long way from home from Queensland. Name's Damien, so it's another Damien. I'm going to hand you over to him for his question.
G'day, how are we going?
Good, thanks, Damien.
Hey, my question is there a restriction on any of the equipment that the horse breakers are allowed to use today?
That's a wonderful question, and thank you for asking.
Thank you.
It's certainly something that everyone needs to know about, and the answer is yes. Absolutely yes. So every day when these guys come in, they have to lay out their gear outside of every single thing that they're going to use. They're not allowed to wear spurs. They're not allowed to have harsh bits. They're not allowed to use, and not that any of them have ever chosen to. I've never, ever declined any gear to come in. But we always go over it. First of all, we make sure that their gear works. We don't want anything to break or give way, obviously. But we do an overall check to make sure that they just bring in your standard everyday horsemanship gear, a good saddle, good girth connection, their halters and or bridles. And one of the prerequisites for this competition, if you don't wear a helmet, you don't ride. So we make sure that they've got a safety-approved helmet that they must all put on their head as well. So, and I double-check that every single time they come out. And it's also, I like to see, we like to pay attention to if they're going to use other things. You know, they've got an agility type course to do for their finals, so they've got to prep these horses and let them know about, you know, what's coming in front. So, you know, you'll see tarps and holes and that sort of thing, so we get our eyes over them. And again, it's about being truly transparent with this whole competition, knowing for sure that we're all doing the very best that we can, including the competitors as well.
And does anyone have any questions up on this side here? They seem to be a little bit quiet over here, so I might make way over to the other side and see if we can get some questions happening on that side.
Might be the heat, do you think, Dominic? Everyone's sweltering up there. So as you'll see that Daniel's come out and he's taken in some water for his horse. These guys can do whatever they choose, and rehydrating, they've all asked that can be done. So of course he's got some time out of the pen now, so we're going to have a chat with Daniel and let him swallow his water and see how he's going. So, Daniel, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, it's pretty hot in here for a pom, but I really like the horse. She's quite sensitive, and it took me a bit to get up to her, but I kind of think the more sensitive horses are quite softer and they're quicker to learn. So it might have took me a bit to catch him, but I'm hoping that we excel a bit now.
And so at home, tell me, if you were going out to start a young horse like this at home, is that a mimic of what you did today, or would you do anything different?
Yeah, it'd be a lot similar stuff. Pretty much ideal, maybe just a different type, like size round pen, but the method's pretty much the same.
Okay, so you typically at home would have a bigger round pen or a smaller round pen?
We've got a slightly smaller one and a slightly bigger one, so we actually switch around the two, but we normally start them on a slightly smaller one, just easier to get a hand on, and a lot of the starting work's disengaging the hindquarters and just trying to get a lot of softness in the bend and a bit of respect and make them confident around you and your gear.
Cool, so you've obviously stepped out. Was that due to a timing thing? You thought the horse was ready for a break, or just that you needed to refuel a bit? Or tell me why you chose to come out at this time.
Yeah, I thought the horse looks a bit hot so he could go out, but I also was happy with where I got up to. And I'd like to have a little bit of time to do something when I get back in instead of wasting it all.
Well said.
Mitchell, second break, mate. That was interesting, putting the rope around us, getting ready for the girth, and also a little bit of encouragement to come forward. Very nice, mate. And showed a little bit of same thing when you actually went to step up the first time. It's just showing that, I got some sensitivity there.
I just want to take that sensitivity out of him, put that rope around his belly, just get him to relax, soften him in the eye a little bit, and he done all those. So he's on me a little bit, but we'll get.
Pretty warm in there, mate. It's warm, isn't it? Very nice job.
Sandy and Phil, I've got another question for you, which Daniel sort of hinted to before. I'm at home. I want to build a round yard myself. Is there a certain size that you should recommend?
Well, that's a great question. I actually followed the studies that was done on round pens, and we're talking back in the early 90s. They started off in the USA, and I watched how they evolved the round pen. And through all the studies that I watched, they came up with the best size round pen be 16.8 metres or 55 feet, and that's in diameter. And also the style of round pen, as we've seen, everyone I'm sure has seen over the years, the different styles of round pens out there with timber, enclosed, open, so forth. And through the research, they found these sorts of round pens to be the safest. And that was a visual thing for the horse. If the horse can see through it as he's running around, he won't run up it with his legs, meaning as he runs around on the wall of it, he won't lean in and start running up the wall. The research showed that if the round pen was of a solid nature, under speed, the round pen wall became the ground. So the horses were tilting and running up at the side of the round pen. And we used that research way back when we started this with Equitana. We wanted to buy the right size and the safest. So that's how we come up with these ones.
Yep. Yeah, I like that 60 foot, 20 metre, Sandy. And I've had both. I've always actually had a solid one, going back for different reasons when we were showing rein cow horses a lot, right from the start, teaching those horses to turn into the fence, really give their nose and get that pressure back on the hock. My wife starts a lot of baby colts, and she likes these open ones, so we have a lot of arguments about that.
Well, that's what you meant to do with your wife, isn't it, Phil?
She says that she gets their attention a lot quicker when they can see out, so I don't argue, never argue.
Happy wife, happy life. So while I'm over here with the judges, I'm just going to ask for some comments to see what they think about what's going on. Again, I will start with Kate. So Kate, what are you seeing so far, and tell us your thoughts?
Yes, we are.
I'm seeing 3 intelligent horses, 3 intelligent horsemen, and a great connection developing through each of those 3 combinations in very different ways.
That's fantastic. What about you, Brett?
Yeah, we're seeing 3, whilst they're similar systems, they're all different as well. And interestingly, we've got 3 different types of horses, and where this guy, the chestnut guy, let Mitchell near him earlier, now he's going to be a little bit pushed back about the backing process. The filly, she was keen to get out of the round yard, but now she's, the grey one, she's softening up beautifully for Damien. And Daniel, really liking the way he's going about this, but it's a long way to go yet.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's definitely an endurance ride, isn't it? So, Anthony, tell us your thoughts.
Man, I tell you what, watching each of these 3 horsemen and the uniqueness of how they're approaching the uniqueness of their horses is really impressive, because each one of these horses has a different personality. The gray filly, obviously very sassy and has a lot of attitude, but the gentleman is doing such a good job of working around that. The young man in front of us is showing more of a cautiousness into his approach, and you're seeing that horse now react to it in a positive way. And the gentleman to my left has never stopped showing that horse a path, never stopped giving that horse an opportunity to show him that he can be a good horse. And it's just, all 3 of these individuals are doing a phenomenal job.
Well, thank you for your comments, guys. And I will get back to you later on, hopefully today, to see if we've got any more comments. And I'll hand you back over to Tim.
Well, thanks, Sandy. I just thought I'd give everyone a bit of an update on the time of where we're up to. We're now looking at been running for about 45 minutes or thereabouts. Each of the competitors has taken a break so far. And so we're up to 42 minutes, in fact, is where we are in competition time. So in the 75 minutes, they're allowed 65 minutes of work time.
That is correct, and they can choose how and when they want to take that. They can take it in 2-minute lots, 5-minute lots, or they can go all the way through and then finish 10 minutes earlier.
Can they take more than 10 minutes of break time?
Yes, if they want to, absolutely. They can take as much time as they want, but it's compulsory that they take their 10 minutes, but that's at their discretion.
Sandy, I've got one for you. I've got Jane here from London. She only flew in last night. The question is, what's the average size of the horses that we have out there and their age?
Oh, cool. Well, the average sizes of the horses are, as you can see, and it's been very similar every year when we've got them in. And Michael and I have certainly made sure that when we've talked about which horses to come in, we don't want them too small or too tall. But the average, obviously, stock horse at this stage, their average height's around 15 hands. And that's on average. That's being quite general, I do know. But what we don't want to do is bring them in when they're too little or too tall, because we don't want to create a disadvantage. But general, over the years that I've been working with Michael and the stud, this is usually the size that we see come in. And the age of the horses, I will need to check that with Michael, as I'm unsure of their birth dates. But I will certainly go across and find out for you. I do know there is, when we choose these horses, Michael breeds them, obviously, for his family and for competition. And when we pick these horses, we have a specific time frame that we feed these horses to help them grow properly, to bring them in to the competition, but I'm unsure of their exact date of birth. So, Michael, our age of these horses range from? Yep. Okay, so they're over 2. So on all these horses are branded, by the way, and registered through Michael's stud. So they're over 2. What we don't want to do is bring horses in much older. We don't want any over 4-year-old. Again, it's a huge thing that Michael does, holding these horses, and he does have a specific reason why they breed them in competition. So to hold them out for us is a great ask on his behalf. So we try and get them in here as they're rising 3.
And Melanie has a question from Bendigo. And why Mitch picked the chestnut up this end here, and also it seemed to be that Phil liked this chestnut, and there might have been, the other boys may have liked it. So what was the attraction with this chestnut, say, over the bay or the grey?
Well, Dom, I just like the way the horse handled the other horses being around it, its calmness, and the way it just looked right off.
And that's one thing that when the guys go out there, and I've had long discussions with the guys over the years about why that particular one, and what they look for in the horses out in the herd is which horses are good leaders or dominant or insecure or down in the pecking order, because that actually helps you understand the personality of the horse that you're getting. So some of them like the more dominant ones, and they can watch them in the communication of the herd, and some of them like the more insecure, low pecking order ones. So I think it's definitely a personal choice. But this chestnut down here, obviously, there was something different about this chestnut as to why this horse was chosen. So again, let's hope it all works out for him in the end.
And as it turns out, he's the only gelding in the bunch too, isn't he? I mean, I think all the others were mares, is that right?
That's exactly right, Dom. Michael came in yesterday, and of course there was a lot more in the herd that we were looking at Michael's, but he came in and he said, it's just by chance we're full of fillies. And of course you do, as breeders, I'm sure breeders out there, you sort of tend to get a theme, with your breeding, and you get a lot of colts on the ground one year and a lot of fillies. Most breeders here will tell you what they're hoping for, they get the opposite, that's for sure.
So if you have just joined us here in the Grand Hall, welcome to Equitana 2016. We are in the first day of 4 days worth of the Way of the Horse. How it worked here, we have selected our 3 trainers. There was a big process to get to our 3 trainers. They were pre-selected. They were invited down here to show us their skills and try and win themselves a brand new Hawkesbury River Saddle Company saddle. And there were 6 horses run into a large pen here. And all thanks to Roseridge Stockhorses. We drew numbers. We picked an order, and the order was chosen 1, 2, and 3. They then drew out 2 names from the 6, so they had a choice of 2 horses which they could choose from. And with that there, they then went in. They had 2 minutes to select their horse, And the 3 trainers have done that. From there, we took a break. We drafted out the 3 stock horses that we have chosen, and we made 3 individual round pens. This is the first day. There is 75 minutes in which they can work with their horse. They must take a compulsory break of 10 minutes. And as I start talking, Phil, there's action happening left, right and centre.
And just see how Daniel had a very different way right from the start, took a lot of time. His break was a long break. The other guys had 2 shorter breaks, but now this horse is really starting to give to him, and they're coming to join a real good partnership.
I'm down here at the moment. Damien's back out, so we'll just check in on him and see how he's going along. So, Damien, give us your thoughts.
Look, I think she's just a very. There's a lot of nervous energy there at the moment. She's not confident at all. I think once she starts to bond with me a lot more, all that sort of that emotional and the drama she's going on with will settle right down. She's doing everything right apart from just that nervous energy. So once we work through that, I'm sure we'll be on top.
Cool. And out of your time out of the round pen, are you how much do you have left?
About 2 minutes out. So.
Cool. So I'll let you go so you can get back in. But great job.
I've got another question up here. I've got Helen with me from Ingham in Queensland. She makes the trip down every second year for this event. She's loved it. Her question will be also for Roseridge.
Sandy.
As a stock horse breeder myself, I'm really interested in the bloodlines of the horses. And like Brett Parbury said, they're similar type, but they've got quite different personalities. At least if you could give me the stallions, I'd be really interested. Thank you.
Sandy, I know you're just having a chat down there with Phil, so I might just come back up to Michael and just ask him about these bloodlines.
Yeah, thank you. I'll start with the grey filly down here. I purchased a grey thoroughbred mare a few years ago, and obviously we've got Apple, Michaela's trick pony out of her and a few other ones. But this particular filly is by a horse called Lockup, which was a horse that had some Western Australian breeding in it that went back to pin-up, and there was a great grey bloodline that come all the way from Turlings. I think you're getting right back in the years there. The brown filly in the middle that Daniel's doing such a great job with there. Her grandfather is Chev and Ivory, which is a high-level camp draft stallion, and she goes back to one of our foundation mares, Old Sally, which that's probably where the Roman nose come from. Maybe the Ivories have a little bit of Roman nose too, but yeah. The gelding up the end is he is a Turlings Bollinger type bloodline horse, which was specifically bred for polo in the Hunter Valley. We've crossed them with our horses, and I've been really happy with those horses in the last 8 or 10 years for good sound mindness and heaps of ability. So that's about it.
Thank you for that.
Wow. I just love to be that agile. That was crazy. What do they call that? Planking? Is that what they call that?
Look at you, Sandy, being all modern and stuff, knowing about planking, hey?
I know, right? I'm still, the hashtag thing still got me, but I did get that planking thing. I saw enough of it on Facebook to know what it was. And actually, the reason why Daniel's doing it is it goes back all the way back through to the Jeffrey method. Yeah, careful with your clapping. It goes back to the old Jeffrey method, which has, been around since I think about the 40s or 50s. It got brought out then that the more body connection we get to the horse, the safer the horse feels. The more rubbing, of course, that's how they communicate. So that's a good thing that Daniel's doing. And as you can see, the horse is quiet and accepting and enjoying it. But he's making sure that when he's up there, he has as much of his body connecting to the horse's body. And, it's been around for a very, very long time, and it's not unusual for us to see that. But it's just something that horses seem to enjoy.
You can see there the progress Daniel's making, and now getting the little bit of a little pressure release, starting to get a little bit of nose control on that horse. how happy that horse is and relaxed it is just amazing. Since the little bit of time we've been in here, 50 minutes or 45 to 50 minutes, for someone to be able to do that in this environment is just unbelievable effort on his part and getting that confidence from the horse.
And if anyone does have a question, they don't want to have to come down here. If you put your hand up, I'm quite happy to come over and see you guys up there in the stands and get your questions.
Excellent job. You saw Mitch there earlier with that rope around the horse's barrel or around his ribs, over his back, just getting that pressure and release, getting ready for, to put the saddle on and start to cinch him up, get that feeling, lifting those legs up, starting to move that horse away, teaching him to move away from him, get that hip out of the way. He's making great progress too.
I've got a question up here from Ness. I've lost you, haven't I, Sandy?
Yeah, you have, Dominic. You've turned invisible.
Peekaboo.
You've got no idea where you are, but ask away.
Question for Michael. Which would have been his pick out of the three?
I'll come over and give you a microphone, Michael, to answer that question. Just to think about it, which horse would you have chosen yourself? Oh, family discussion is what's happening. I just thought he might have been avoiding the question.
Funny, Michaela loves the grey, and they've got an older brother to the little brown mare, but I think I would add the big chestnut down the end. I've got another lovely mare that's a full sister to that horse, and couldn't fault her. So thank you.
I think. Sorry, Sandy.
Oh, sorry, Phil. We're talking over each other already. We're nearly married. So we'll just go back to what's going on in the round pens, and because we've seen them start to change what they're doing and add on some more stuff. So I'm down here with Damien, and what I have seen is he's starting to introduce a bit of a lunge lesson, so he can teach the horse that when he asks to go forward, and again he's getting some yield to pressure. What he doesn't want to happen is a horse to leave and the horse drag him off. So he's in the yielding to pressure we were talking about before and getting control of the nose. You'll notice that as soon as Damien gets some communication down that line, that it connects into a body part, and he's starting to control some speed and asking the horse to go forward. And of course, no forward, no horse. So it's important now that they're starting to get this forward thing happening, as well as the stopping via the hips. So you'll see that he's progressed on. He's used what he's taught the horse before, and he's asking the horse now to add on a few more things and get travelling and get moving.
And I like that there's no tug-of-war up there. It's like, I'm not going to pull you, he's not going to pull me all the way around that arena, and he's taught him to stay in that space and given him a place to go and the reward when he's there. It's, that's, to get a horse to do that in 45, 50 minutes is really unbelievable. And these guys, I'm sure Daniel, all the farriers in here would be just loving this, because he's gone straight to picking those feet up. If anybody's had to shoe their own horses and young ones, the more time you spend down there at this stage, and then the other pen down here with Mitch, he's teaching this horse to move that hip away from the pressure, and also give a little bit of lateral flexion as well, teaching him to move the hip from light pressure. Now he's trying to just get him to move that front end over, so he can, when he takes that near rein, that horse's nose will come and the front feet will cross over.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see, again, body control, only Mitch has got a little bit of a different approach. Down there with Daniel, that horse likes to give a bit of a high five. So he's found it imperative now that he says to the horse, get your feet forward, not up. So Of course, he's using a bit more energy because of what the horse is telling him. And we'll see Mitch down here, he's got a bit of a different approach. Again, he wants the horse to move forward, but he's a bit up closer to the horse up front. And again, he's trying to talk to those shoulders a little bit and still yield to pressure. But in the middle here, what we've been seeing is some sacking out and a little bit of desensitising and stuff with this horse. And now you'll see that we've got in, I think it's, if I'm correct, it's a bit of a polypipe with, that looks like it's a chaff bag on the end that's nice and cut up. And again, this is about desensitising and warning the horse. The saddle's coming soon, so you need to learn to cope with things touching you. So he's going to rub him all over and he's going to help the horse understand that something a bit bigger is coming soon, and he's trying to prepare him for the future.
And I think, Sandy, down here with Mitch, this horse let him get up close and personal really quickly. And then he's thrown a few little speed bumps in there to him when he started to decide, no, I don't really, we're seeing another one now. So he's just backed off and taken his time, gone back to the start basics. He might have a bit of blue heeler in him. See him trying to have a nibble on his jeans there.
I think it might be a red heeler.
Red
heeler. Chestnut, yeah. Yeah, and you see that a lot. The horses that are really confident and let you get near them early, they're self-assured, and they'd be probably on top of your pecking order. But you've got the opposite. It's great we've got him sitting here, because I think we've got really confident type natured horse. In the middle here, we've got confident but a bit sensitive, and down the end, of course, we had the very insecure. So it's really interesting to be able to watch these horses and their training unfold in front of you. And usually the confident horse is the one that can get a little bit sassy and have a bit of an opinion. And I think you've just got to work harder in your explanation. I think they all learn at the same rate. Just some will push you and others don't need pushing at all. So it's interesting to watch how they're dealing with the different natures of these horses.
And Sandy, from the public, I think that you see with each one of these trainers, when they have that little speed bump, hiccup, whatever you want to call it, they just back off, go back to where the spot was that they found the horse was really happy and they'd had a nice little partnership going, and then regather up and start again, try to progress again.
Yeah, we've got a saying at home, and, whilst training, when in doubt, just abort mission and start again. So you quite often see that here. The guys will think that they're ready to move on, and they will, and then the horse will have an opinion about it or have a bit of a word to say about it. So usually the right way to go about horse training is to go backwards so you can go forwards.
And I suppose, Sandy, from the trainer's point of view, they have this time pressure on their brain the whole time. So it would just be so natural when things were going well we're just going to go, we'll try a little bit, we'll go a little harder. And the horse tells us, the number one thing here is the horse and the whole thing about whether it be safety, whether it be, for the rest of his life, some of these things are going to stick with him. And the way these trainers have gone about has just been excellent, that they haven't, when they got to that spot, they've backed off, gone back to the basics and started up again.
Yeah, that's the best thing about watching methodology in horsemanship. Horsemanship's created its own discipline over the last couple of decades, that's for sure. And it's that's the part of the methodology that I do like, is watching when do I think I can move forward, when do I have to go back, exactly what is the right time to add anything new, or when is the time just to stay still. So that's the part I get very curious about, is what is it that you see in the horse that tells you they're ready for more, or what is it that you see in the horse that says no more? So it's I'm very curious about watching that, and have loved watching these competitions over the years. You see these guys innately change their mind. It doesn't mean they change their methodology, they change their mind. They think, I'm ready to step up. Horse might say something, go, no, we'll abort mission and go back. So that's part of horse training that I love watching.
Exactly, try a little different approach. And we do that then right through their training career. We do that, and I'm sure that Brett and the judges over there in their careers with their horsemanship, they do the same thing. Like every horse is not going to be the same, and they're not going to accept the same methods, and we have to keep ahead of them and keep thinking about now, how can I get him to go to this next step? When is he ready? Do I back off today and go back to basics and restart up again?
That's exactly right. And if you all see down here, we were talking before about this grey mare being a bit insecure, and she was quite herd-bound. And of course, Damien's trying quite hard down here to get high up on that pecking order, and you can see that she's getting a bit sassy now. She's like, well, who the hell do you think you are? I haven't chosen you for my herd. So they're having this conversation down here at the moment, and it's all about pressure and release. You know, I'm here, I'm worth listening to. Damien's got to remain interesting. And of course, all the horse wants to have done at the end of the day is just to be left alone. So the release of the pressure is what's telling them that they're right and that they can rest. So watching Damien here and his timing is quite interesting.
Sandy, while you've got Michael there, I do have a question for you. I've got a lady from Western Australia, so she's travelled a lot of miles to be here. And her question is also for Roseridge.
I've got... well, I'm happy to be here with Michael right at this minute. Sorry, what was that question?
The question is, how much handling have these horses had prior to this event? Had they been holder broken, maybe their teeth done, feet?
Yeah. Yeah, so these horses are generally, when we get them off their mothers, it's sort of 6 or 7 months. Teach them to lead a little bit then. And that's about it, really. They come back through the crush and get drenched and branded. So yeah, they have a little bit of education just as they're young horses, and then really we've got to have them so they're safe to do what they've got to do. But we certainly want them to be have a good life and make sure they're safe enough. But at the same time, try and leave them as raw as we can to get down here. And certainly I freeload them and do everything we can do. So yeah.
Thanks, Michael. So if you all take a look in the middle round pen at the moment, we'll see that we've got the saddle pad on and the saddle's coming on in. So I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure when that girth gets done up, you'll all be holding your breath just like me. We'll see how far he gets with it.
Sandy, another thing from your point of view and mine and the judges over here that all train horses and compete, one of the things that we want those horses to stay happy every day. And I know in our cutting horse business, I love to be able to walk up there to the pen or the stable or the yard, wherever that young horse is, and the horse meet me there at the gate. And what I'm getting at is what Damien's doing down there. He's trying, like this little mare's shown him a few high fives, and he's trying to build that mental thing with her now that she gets happy with him in the space, accepts whatever he wants to do, and then get rewards for that. So down the road, by building what they're doing here today, is that when these horses go on later on, they have that very, very happy...
So I've just checked with the timers, Phil. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got about 3 minutes left of this competition. So trainers, you all must be aware you must be standing outside your round pen before the timer finishes with all gear out, and you must have ensured that you've used your 10 minutes. So the clock is ticking, and I'm assuming all of our timers are all on identical time. Phil and I are just making sure that we're checking with all the timers that we're all on the same time. I'm sure we are. Okay, what I do know down here with Damien is that he is finished for the day. He is done, yeah.
A big thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for Damien Hall. Of course, if you'd like to find out more, jump onto Facebook, Damien Hall, Horsemanship and Training, and you can follow his progress, not only here, but right through the year.
We've got 1 minute left here in the middle round pen.
Mitchell's done. He's pulled up.
Okay, everybody give Mitchell a round of applause.
A big thank you, Mitchell Gollan. You can find out more about Mitchell Gollan by going to mitchellgollanhorsemanship.com. And of course, they do have their stand over in the John Deere Pavilion as well, where you can get up and talk to these guys each and every day.
We've got our clock ticking here with Daniel. Okay, everybody. Everyone put your hands together for our 3 amazing trainers and 3 wonderful horses, and we'll see you all here tomorrow.
Yeah, big thank you, of course, Daniel Robinson. Find out more at dprbreaking.com. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, as you leave, can I ask you, please put your hands together for our judges, to Kate, to Anthony and Brett. They'll be back tomorrow. And keep the applause going for our MCs of the Way of the Horse, to our man in the crowd, to Dominic, to Phil and to Sandy. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for them.
We're up all night to get